G'day everybody, where's Wally here? Now, one criticism that the Flurfs are levelling at the final experiment is that it isn't. That it isn't an experiment. Case in point, listen to this little whinge.
Who turned around and said, well, because we've got a 24-hour sun in the north, it proves we're on a sphere? Nobody. Because it doesn't. But what, because there's ambiguity about whether there is or isn't one in the south, that proves a globe? No, it doesn't. And they've affirmed the consequent to do it. They've called it an experiment and they haven't provided the constituent parts of a hypothesis to claim it's an experiment. It's a fraud. So my response to the guy, if he's listening, I don't know what his name is, he's already come out as being a liar in some respect or another when he's hidden his identity and had to disclaim his lies already. This guy's supposed to be a man of God. Nevertheless, you're a fraud. You've claimed you've got an experiment. You haven't. That makes you a fraudster. There's no other way to describe what you're doing. If you say you've got something that you haven't and you're misleading people into doing things and there's money involved, it's fraud. So what am I going to do? Report him to the police perhaps for fraud? Because he's misleading people into a very dangerous journey based on the premise of science experiment. That's fraud. So the guy needs locking up. He's not in a position to be putting people in danger and giving them survival lists of equipment that they need to go down to a place so he can commit fraud under the pretense of science. Yeah, fraudsters need to go to jail. He's a fraudster. Yes, I am very much accusing him of fraud because that's what he's committing when he says he's got science. He hasn't. He's a fraudster. I hope that's clear.
When you show up there, you lose.
Oh Nathan, I gave you the chance weeks ago to provide the scientific rigour for the Will Duffy experiment, and you blocked my comments. So Will now has the following, and Nathan can no longer claim that Will is a fraud, and as he has all the constituent parts, this is no longer an affirming the consequences fallacy. So Nathan, that straw man has left the building, old boy. Oh, and one more thing, Nathan. I'm stealing your participation points. Thanks very much, mate. Now, we all know the recent trend for Flurfs to cancel science by comparing everything to the basic high school definition of scientific process. This way, they can seek to claim pseudoscience at anything they don't like at all. However, experiments are super easy and barely an inconvenience. Now, I will indulge the Flurfs here and show just how easy the scientific process is if you want to do it at the 101 first year level. The final experiment is a scientific experiment to take place at Union Glacier from the 14th to the 18th of December in the year 2024. The question we seek to answer scientifically is there a 24-hour or midnight sun in Antarctica every summer? And from that answer, the next question will come, which is the Earth a rotating globe or a stationary flat plane? Step 1. We all, except for the flatties, see the observational natural phenomena of a 24-hour sun when the sun is fully visible all night and doesn't set. This is demonstrable reality. Step 2. Let's do a bit of research, and as we're getting our PhD from the U of Tube, that's exactly where we'll look to see if 24-hour sun or sun don't set is mentioned anywhere. Now, Flatzoid says they interviewed people who claim not to have seen it.
So, Robert, just so we've got absolute clarity, is there 24-hour daylight in Antarctica, yes or no?
I'd say no, not all the time, no.
So is there 24-hour nighttime?
Well, again...
Sorry to interrupt. It's night time. It's winter. It's Antarctica.
Antarctic winter, yeah. In the winter. It is dark, but it is not pitch black.
Oh, really? Well, let's see what my extensive research shows, shall we? That, by the way, is Mount Rossmann, and the most likely to obstruct the sun from view from the glacier. Oh no, that sun is setting. Oh, wait for it. Oh no, the sun definitely forgot to set. Now, I suggested to Will to request tents as far away from the mountain as possible to make a clearer view of the sky. I will play a little bit more of this clip than is needed because this is typical of the accommodation provided by Will Duffy Tours.
So here we are, home sweet home. You might ask yourself, where do you sleep when you're in Antarctica? And the answer is in a tent. And this tent is super simple, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Probably can't see it, but there's one more cot on that side. It's matching to this. But the tent itself, and I'm not a tent expert, is a double layer construction. I'm assuming this first layer, which is vented, allows moisture and heat to come up and out and dissipate to prevent moisture from gathering along the top seams. The outer shell is obviously for protection, and it's very bright in here right now because the sun is not going to go down while we're here, but that brightness is making it 50, maybe 60 degrees in this tent.
So no sunsets then? Okay. Oh, look at that. That's very much like the sun failing to set for more than 24 hours. Okay, there really seems to be something in this then.
So this is midnight at Union Glacier. We should have flown home to Punta Arenas this afternoon. It's a beautiful evening here. It's been blowing very hard, but unfortunately the weather near the air station is not so good, and the weather going all the way to Punta Arenas hasn't been good, and the plane hasn't been able to get here.
Step 3. Let's create a hypothesis. While we're at Union Glacier, Dave et al. Will be able to observe the sun's elevation and azimuth angles for as many hours as possible. Will has asked to be able to quietly film outside the tents during the usual quiet time at the camp. Video recordings and time-lapses will allow for the examination of the data after the fact. That will be cool. The final experiment will take place on the 14th to the 18th of December 2024, which is only days from the summer solstice. Now, the Nautical Almanac shows that the GP of the sun is always on or very close to the Tropic of Capricorn at this time of year. In fact, it's the very definition of the Tropic of Capricorn. The null hypothesis states that the sun will travel in a circle always above the GP, with the North Pole as the centre of that circle. So at some point in every 24-hour period, the sun must be at the farthest away point on the other side of the North Pole. The null hypothesis also states that the sun's elevation angle will be less than 0 degrees above the horizon at some point. The null is also confirmed if the sun sets, or if the sky is observed to be proper dark, if the stars are visible in the sky at night, or the sun has just gone away. The alternate hypothesis is that the Earth is a globe rotating around an axis that lies between the North and South Poles. The Union Glacier at 80 degrees south is just 10 degrees from the South Pole, and the tilt of the Earth is at 23.5 degrees, and when observed at 10 degrees from the pole, the sun's elevation will always be between 13.5 and 33.5 above the horizon. The alternative hypothesis is stating that the sun will always be visible, and it will be visible between the elevation of 33.5 and 13.5 degrees. The sun's azimuth angle will also change at the exact rate of 15 degrees per hour. Thanks, Bob. Step 4. Let's make a prediction. The null hypothesis predicts that Dave et al. Will easily see the sun at midday in the north sky. It predicts that the sun will move west, arcing down to the horizon and set or just go away. It predicts that the sun at midnight will not light the sky will be dark, the stars will be visible. It further predicts that the sun will rise and arrive over near the east and arc up to the midday position to complete its 24-hour journey. It predicts that globies will be much sad. The alternate hypothesis predicts that if we stand on Union Glacier at 79.766 degrees south, 82.866 degrees west, on the 14th to 18th of December, we will observe the sun circling around the sky over a 24-hour period. The sun will be seen at the 4 cardinal directions, north, west, south and east. The elevation angles will always be between 13.5 and 33.5 degrees, and the azimuth angle will vary at 15 degrees per hour. Thanks, Bob. At no point in the 24-hour period will it dip below the horizon. Step 5. The experiment will do the following. A. Record the sun's elevation. B. The sun's azimuth angles. And C. The time of day for these recordings. This data can then be analysed at a later date. Additionally, a time-lapse video of a sundial would be a perfect way of showing the azimuth and elevation angles varying nicely over the 24 hours. Step 6. Now, if we plot each dependent variable against the independent variable, we will end up with 2 graphs that most likely will look like this. Now, the 2 graphs will make the final step super easy and barely an inconvenience. So stay tuned to see which hypothesis wins out. Will it be team null or team alternate?
Giving it the appearance of darkness kind of thing.
But if you would describe how the sun rises and sets, what the sun does in the summer.
Summertime it does more of an arc, and in the wintertime it's even flatter, so you'd be kind of doing something similar to that, and then obviously summertime's more that.
But it doesn't
It's
do.
ultimately up and down on the horizon. It's not going round and around above your head in circles.
No, I just sit and looked at it thinking, oh, look, the sun's spiralling above my head or something like that. I would have...
Or behind you, you know, it being in front of you, then to the left, then behind you, then to the right.
Yeah, it did like a better 180 arc, not like a 360. So you see it move in and move out. So it wasn't just like straight across, but yeah.
Step 7. We can extend these results by redoing the tests in other places. And step 8. Now, normally this is where you are forced to take notice of others who know as much as you do about the subject of the test. But in this case, as Flurfs were invited to come along to Antarctica to play Look at the Sun, and they did not even try one little bit, well, we would be well within our rights to say, nope, you didn't go, you don't have a voice. Sorry, guys. Anyway, so Will, just to be sure, those 3 claims are 1, to this video, which outlines the IV, DV and the whole experimental rigor so that Nathan et al. Can no longer complain about it. 2, put a GoPro or something on the front of my little equatorial sundial and do a time lapse. That'll be cool. And 3, this is one I might not have mentioned to you. As a contingency, if what Jaren is afraid of, the sky is made cloudy for 4 days while we're there, my suggestion would be to go and talk to the people who run the power plants run on solar panels, which will no doubt have logs of all the solar panels and the output. And if you look at those logs, you should see that there'll be a 24 hours of solar production. And by the way, just have a look at how those solar panels are mounted. Not so flat, are they? I wonder why. Anyway, Will, I'm looking forward to seeing my 3 points up on the scoreboard, or at least my 1 point 3 times bigger than everybody else's. Thanks, mate.